What's the right or best music format for your strip club? That's the subject on today's episode of Strip Club U. Hello, my strip club friends. Danny Meyers here, and welcome to another episode of Strip Club U. If any part of your income is from the strip club industry, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel because I cover all things strip club related. Today's subject: what is the right or best music format for your strip club? Great question, and one that keeps coming up, so let me give you my opinion. Thankfully, every club and every market are different, and I say thankfully because if every strip club played the exact same music, man, how boring would that be for our customers? There are so many different successful music formats. Some clubs just play the hits, some play all classic rock, some play country, some play all hip-hop. Let me give you my thoughts. I am not here to tell you what you should play in your club, but what I want to accomplish today is to help you develop a formula. Give you the tools to help you to create your own music format. So let's break it down like this. There are four basic genres of music for strip clubs. You have rock, you have urban, you have electronic dance music, and you have country. Now let's draw a box, and right in the middle of this box, let's put a dot. Now the middle of this box is representing very safe, generic, popular music. Okay, let's start in the center of this box and figure out how you can customize this for your strip club. There are some clubs that like to stay right here in the center all night long. I've heard some say that if your customers don't know all the words to every song that's playing, you're playing the wrong song, and that works for some clubs, I guess. And if that works for you, then great. But what I want to talk to you today about is how you can decide just how far outside the center you can go for your format, and maybe how often you should go to the outside of this box. Let's define this box a little better by starting with rock. I mean, you've got all kinds of different rock. You have your pop rock, you have your harder rock, and what I like to refer to as your screamo rock. As for urban, of course, you've got your pop R&B, your hip hop, and your hardcore rap. What you do is decide how often or how far outside the center you want to go. You might decide for your format that it's okay to bounce the edge line once an hour, maybe twice an hour, maybe more. That's up to you. It could also be determined by the time of the night. Now, a lot of clubs will stay toward the center earlier in the night, but then they free up the format or bounce the edges of the box more the later it gets into the evening. Another real popular theory is the one that says to look at your crowd and guess the average age. Then figure out what years they were in high school. And then you can play some music from that era because that always brings back some great memories for your guests. Okay, now I want to talk about energy. I started DJing back in the 70s in the disco era, and back then, everything was about BPMs or beats per minute. And back then, that was a really good measuring gauge for energy. Back then, the kick drum was the driving force of most songs. Most songs had 4 kick drums per measure. So the faster the BPM, the more kick drum hits a song had, the more energy a song would have. Now, in today's music, you have more electronic sounds adding energy, so the kick drum, although which still is very important, doesn't have to carry the entire load of the energy. So in today's music, it's not as much about how fast the song is, it's more about how much is going on within the measures. You know, back in the day, back in the day, before we had DJ software telling us the BPMs of a song, we used to have a stopwatch and we would manually count the beats per minute. Today's BPM analyzers might tell you that a song is 70 beats per minute, where we would have manually counted it at 140. So the BPM scale, although it's still a good scale to use, it's a good tool, but it's not the gospel. Don't be a slave to the BPM because there are so many exceptions. A slower tempo song doesn't necessarily mean it's a dead song. I mean, for example, Def Leppard, Pour Some Sugar on Me. I think that officially clocks in at 85 beats per minute, which would technically be slow by a lot of people's standards, and we all know that's not a slow song. Another real weird thing is electronic dance music, because that can get real interesting. You can't just use the BPM scale for EDM. A lot of EDM songs have a lot of energy, but some have these real long, drawn-out breakdowns that can suck the life right out of your room. By the way, if you're looking for some great websites to find some mixes of songs, check out a Strip Club U episode that I did called Best Places to Download Music. And I'll put a link to that show in the description box below. Okay, speaking of energy, a lot of times our energy level is judged by our crowd's reactions. Do they seem like they're into the party, or are they just sitting there? And if they are just sitting there, is that the fault of the music? Not always. Look at your room. Is it a bunch of small groups of two, or do you have large groups of people? I mean, let's face it, if you go out with one friend and you go to a club, chances are the two of you are not going to get as rowdy as if you went out with a large group celebrating something. So also, just because they're not screaming doesn't mean that they're not enjoying themselves. If they're spending money, is it really that important that they're screaming? But if you really feel like your room is getting stale, you may go back to that box and bounce the edges a few times. You'll have shifts where you struggle, and you'll have shifts where everything clicks. Remember, it's not rocket surgery. It's titties and beer. So if you find yourself struggling, take a deep breath, read your room, and have some fun. I know I gave you a lot of ideas on today's show, and some will work for you, and some won't. That's where you, the professional, take what I just gave you and customize it for your club. I started Strip Club U not only so I could share knowledge, but so I could gain knowledge. I mean, you are never too old to learn. What do you think? What would you add to this show? Here's where I get to learn from you. Let me know in the comments section below, and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can check out all of the Strip Club U episodes. That way also, if I do a follow-up show on this topic, I might use your ideas. Strip Club DJs, if you haven't already checked out PANDA, the Professional Adult Nightclub DJ Association, make sure to do that at pandamembers.org. That's pandamembers.org. That is also where I host the Panda Top 20 and Panda Off the Charts monthly podcasts. My name is Danny Meyers. I want to thank you for watching this episode of Strip Club U.